What's going on, everybody? We are live for Boss Up Talk Wednesday. Got my girl Natalie, all the way from by way of Georgia right now.
Yep.
What is going on, everybody? All right, so guys, like and share this feed on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Man, have you can send it. Text somebody. Got a good topic for you guys today. Dealing with week episode 94, the power of intentionality. What's going on, guys? Like and share this feed. So you guys know when we get started, we always like to do. I'm gonna call it the praise report first. So Natalie, what you guys talk about? What happened in the last 7 days that was so dope and so amazing that we can kind of celebrate you on?
So let me see. The last 7 days, there's so much that's been going on. I don't even know if all of them are celebrations, but this one thing is, your girl prices went up.
Yeah.
Officially went up on them prices, and I've been having a lot of sales calls this week, and the price is $2,500. Like I have been at $1,000 for a while now, and now that I'm like, okay, people are seeing the value at that price, it's time to revamp, reevaluate, go back in internally, which I did for quite some months, and what we have been producing in the academy is yielding results that we're like, we added 2 more coaches.
So,
We've added some live coaching that happens not just during that session that we have, but they can come in and get live coaching. We've created so much value that the price got to go up, and so that's what it is, baby. That's what I'm celebrating this week. New prices, okay?
and that's a dope point about elevation. But I think too sometimes like people think you act brand new when certain things change. But the whole point of growth and living is about elevation. So at some point, you should see elevation in your life. And I love that for you because, I remember when the package was X amount of dollars. So to see that, I remember there was no clients, right?
Listen!
To see that go from zero to making money. And I think that's a beautiful thing. For me, what I'm celebrating is today, myself and 2 of my friends signed the lease for our event space. So yeah, I'm not supposed to talk about that, but I'm excited. So anyway, we should be opening up by the end of the month. 2 sides. All right, let me stop about that. So that's one thing about the event space. Another great thing is my e-course is fully live, but also too, I got back to doing my editing like I said I would with media. We talked about that last week. I edited 2 my cooking web series, right? So that's already done. So I'm just happy that I'm really taking the time to have off to really just do dope things like that event space thing. Signing at least today felt so good because something I've been working on for at least like maybe 10 years. So to have that come to fruition and to be able to do this dope stuff with 2 of my closest friends, Halima and Tashonda, is just amazing to me. So I'm really excited about that part. So getting into the topic for today. Okay, so today we're talking about the power of intentionality, and I think that's so important to piggyback about our praise reports because everything that Natalie and I have been working on and that we've been talking about is being intentional. I think every day you have to really take time to be intentional. A scripture that talks about is Proverbs 16 verse 3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do and he will establish your plans. The first thing before I even think about planning and stuff like that, let me first commit myself to God. All right, God, this is the gift you've given me. Let me meditate on how do you want me to really use it, right? And sometimes you don't get a direct answer as like an audible voice, but you may get an answer by talking to like Natalie, or I'll talk to my friends, and naturally we're just naturally talking. And guess what? Ideas just genuinely pop up because my friend circle, we're all intentional. So as we're talking about random stuff, we get other advice, we get other like input, and it becomes amazing because guess what? When I'm starting to be intentional about my purpose, God provides the rest. Like even like it's a large sum amount that I need right now. That's definitely 5 figures. And I'm like, I don't have all of it, but guess what? I know that because I'm intentional about fulfilling the gift of God on my life and the will of God on my life, God will supply the rest. Because I'm being intentional, he will be intentional about me. And I think what happens is in business, sometimes that we're not committing to the Lord, whatever I do. We're just randomly doing stuff. But once you commit your plan and your vision towards God, he's able to amplify what you have and add the super to your natural. And what happens is you start having all these blessings where you look up and now you that went up to 2,500 for your package, Natalie. You got what I'm saying? Stuff that was like stuff that like we talk about like believing like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but we're not looking at how it's gonna happen. How many sales do I get to get it? But then next you know, you start seeing input. So now I actually see how I want to fill my bank accounts with 50K a month to do impact, because you need resources to fill needs. There's no other way around it.
That's good. You need resources to fill the need. And let me go back to what you said in the beginning, because you said that while you were having that conversation with your people, that's when you was basically, I heard you say the clarity came in the conversations that you were having,
Yes.
but you were very intentional about surrounding yourself with certain types of people. And so what people don't realize is that communication that you're having with people who are on a higher level forces you to level up yourself or level out. Like when you start connecting with, and Chef Jay talks about this all the time, how he has been in rooms with millionaires. And because he's in the rooms with millionaires, he's able to have conversations with millionaires that broke people don't have, the conversations that broke people don't have, right? You're able to talk, you're able to listen to their language and shift your language accordingly so that you can now be talk the same language that they're talking, because out of your mouth is what you're actually going to eat. When we speak those things out of our mouth, we actually reap what we speak, but we don't realize when we are in this place of consistent, like, poverty being our circumstance, is because we have been speaking that over our lives for however long, right? Like even for me and my family, I can go back and I think about the conversations that we have. There are a few times that we'll step outside of our comfort zone, outside of our poverty or poor conversations, and dream of something bigger. But the majority of the time, it's like, oh, I don't have the money, or oh, I'm broke. Or even when we start seeing a little bit of financial like traction, we talk ourselves out of that, and we end up back into this place of living paycheck to paycheck, because we're like, that's a fluke. That's not always, going to happen. We just happen to run into some money this month, but this is not always going to happen. So your mindset is what little or extra you get, you got to hold on tight to it. But just shifting the people around you, being intentional about who I'm going to place in my circle, shifts your conversations. And when your conversations begin to shift, your whole life begins to shift, because you're speaking a new language. It's like you're moving to Spain and you're no longer speaking Spanglish or that broken thing. You're speaking fluent Spanish. So now you are exposed to more people within the country, because majority of people speak the language of the country. Yeah. So I love that you said you were very intentional about the people, because the people are really the conversations is what level you up and take you to the next.
Oh, I know you was taking.
I'm done.
But you know what? It's so funny. With intention comes being intentional, comes with making a decision, right? So I know Halima's not on the live right now, but we had a conversation about this whole thing with the spot. And I'm like, yo, we all need X amount of dollars. And at first, Halima was like, she was kind of like, all right, let me talk to you later. She called back. And within like 3 minutes, like, nah, I got it. I'll get it. The reason why that's so important is because she knows that me as her friend, I have like a move on spirit. It's not intentional, but it's just like, I'm going to always offer it to the people I respect the most and I care about the most. If it's not happening with us, I'll move on. But I think too is like when you connect with other people who also have intention, something ignites in them where it has to be a decision. Like for me, it's just like there's no other thing. Like I was talking to this guy today and I said, honestly, culinary has always been my thing. Like I've done other stuff, but it's always been based on culinary arts, because I've always been intentional about knowing my gift and operating my gift. It's very hard for me to see other things besides that. Like even if I do photography, I started that from culinary. Like even whatever I do has a base in culinary. And once I become focused on something, it's very hard for me to get off that focus. So for me, like my goal is to always be intentional. Like I think you'll be intentional about your friendships, intentional about people you talk to, intentional about, who you lay up with. Like all this is intentional. And because you got to think, their spirit is around yours and the spirit man never sleeps. If I'm around you, there's some type of connecting going on where honestly, I met Natalie when I was, I think 10. Natalie, I think she's 10 years older than me. Even that was age gap, we connected, and that became my sister. Like from the first few weeks we met, and ever since then we've been inseparable. With like I've always seen her intentions and my intentions, and we work together to really kind of edify that. Because I think too, it comes to a place where sometimes knowing your purpose can bring a lonely effect because you feel like you're alone in this. And the reason why we even started doing like podcasts like this or lives like this is because we let you know that it's somebody out there that understands you. And how do we work together to really experience the fullness? Because you got to think iron sharpens iron. Right? If I talk to Natalie on a day I'm not really feeling it, Natalie gonna come back to me with, she gonna let me talk a little bit, let me vent. Once she let me vent, she's gonna come back with scripture. She can come back with that confidence, that faith, and remind me of who I am automatically. Because sometimes you have to vent about situations, right? Because sometimes things don't go out your way. But you know what though? When I don't understand something, the Bible talks about in James 1 verse 5, if you lack wisdom, ask him. He'll generally give it to you. I think sometimes too, when it comes to like not seeing a way out, it's very easy to get caught up with what you don't have, what you're not smart at, what you're not good at, versus saying like, hey, God, I think you for giving me wisdom to understand this. Like even when I first started doing like decoration stuff, I met Shonda about maybe 2019. And she showed me, like I was like, how you balloon arch? We were good on Facebook Live. Instagram, Snap, whatever it is, FaceTime. And then she would say, no, Jay, the balloon's too big. Do it this way. Do it this way. Because I know that if I don't have wisdom in the area, I'm going to pray about it, but I'm also going to seek out my friendship circle because we're all intentional. Like, okay, Jay, let me help you with this. If Natalie needs help with a recipe, now, even though she can cook, don't get me wrong, she come from a line of cookers. Her mom can throw down too. But if she needs advice about something, I'm able to operate in my element of purpose and give that feedback because we're intentional friends. So I think once you start thinking about that, is like, I think the real question is, especially if you don't know your gift, is God, I thank you that every day I am getting one step closer to my purpose, and give me wisdom on how to accomplish this. Like every day, like, thank you, God, that I'm in the right rooms at the right time, talking about the right things, right? Because even too, like, it's crazy when I applied for the whole thing for the event space, I told to the guy, I want to run a hospitality academy. Never knew who he was. Now it's like we're in talks about opening up a culinary school. Here's the thing about that part. I looked at a video I edited from 2020, and that's when I left teaching one time for like a little break. And on the live, I was saying that, like, hey, this is my season to go bigger than just teaching the classroom, but to open up a school. So to be around these conversations and to say these things, not knowing how it's going to happen, but to be in the right place at the right time, having the right conversations, I learned that the more intentional I am, the more God will open up doors and supply the rest.
Ooh. Baby, let's go, because this is where we going. Now we got to go back to the fact that you be dropping people real quick. Like if you don't keep your game tight, if you don't keep up the pace, you're gonna get dropped. But it's not like I'm purposely dropping you. It's you are going to release yourself if you can't keep pace with Chef Joe, right? He brings out something within the people around him that forces them to level up or level out. And it's just because he's being himself. And we got to get to that place where, and like he said, he'll do it alone if he has to, but his goal is to do it with community, because when you are really wealthy from within, you understand that there is more than enough for everybody. Yeah. And I don't have to be great at everything, but I have to be great at my thing. And when I'm great at my thing, I surround myself with a community of people that are great at the things that they do. And together we collectively do the thing and become millionaires or billionaires or whatever your ultimate goal is, right? And I love that you talked about that you reached out to certain people to say, hey, this is an event space, but you're like, I got my people that I want to bring along with me. Yeah. Like when you're wealthy, that's the kind of language that you speak, and you're constantly talking about the things that you're saying, the conversations that you're having, the words that you're speaking. And we have to tap into that part of us, being intentional about our language, because that is what creates our strategy. You spoke that you wanted to teach at a school, but on a bigger scale than just in that high school. And you spoke that out of your mouth. And now that became a strategy that somebody else just dropped in your lap that said, hey, I want to do a culinary school. And that already matched up with the vision that you had in your mind, but you spoke it out. And so many of us are afraid to just speak what we see behind the scenes, but we have to be courageous and we have to be intentional about what we say. We usually, right, when you're in the environment that is difficult, especially entrepreneurs, we usually say what we currently see in the environment. We usually speak our current circumstance, like I don't have any money, or I don't have any clients, or I don't know anything, right? But you said certain things that you were like, certain words were like, I don't have this right now, but it will be released unto me. I don't think you said that, but that's what I heard.
That's what it is.
People need to start saying those things like, you know what? I have to be real, right? Really and truly, I don't feel it right now, but I want to feel it. I don't have it right now, but I want to have it. I will have it. I'm destined to have it. Start shifting your language around where you are in the future. Start sitting with, who am I becoming? And who am I becoming? What does that person talk like? What is that language like? Who does that person congregate with? Who does that person have as friends? What are the conversations that these friends are having? I remember reading Napoleon Hill, and he wrote the book Get Rich. Not Get Rich. What was it? I was about to say Get Rich or Die Trying. But that's not the book. But y'all know Napoleon Hill. Once the book drops into my mind, I'll drop it in the chat.
This is the real book, big book that he has?
He's like old.
It's like thick, real thick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know we were just talking about that yesterday. That book is thick. That was a long read, but it was good.
He interviewed a lot of millionaires back in the 1930s or 1940s, and he compiled all of this information. And one of the things that he noticed was that they started having conversations around with wealthy people, right? He said he didn't have many wealthy people around him. So what he had to do was have conversations in his mind with wealthy people. So he would pick people from the past, like he said, what's his name? Lincoln was one of those people. Then he had a whole bunch of other people that he admired from the past. And he said he would just sit and have, in his imaginations, have conversations with them. And he said by doing that, it leveled him up so that when he was in the presence of a millionaire, he started talking that language because he already did it in his imagination. And some of us don't have physical access to millionaires just yet, but you got two right here. So you should be in the conversations, talking to us, asking us questions, replying back in the chat. I'm just saying. But some of us don't have or recognize that we have the opportunity to have conversation with millionaires. So we need to start in our mind. We need to start having conversations with Jeff Bezos in our mind. We need to start having conversations with Oprah Winfrey in our mind. Our imagination is the gateway to our next level, but we refuse to use it for our good. And we use our imagination to keep us stuck in a place that we don't want to be. We continually imagine that nobody is going to come. We continually imagine that I'm never going to have a 10K month. We continue to imagine all the things that are definitely the fearful things that are going to happen. And that's exactly what happens. Instead, we need to retrain our mind to imagine and be intentional about retraining your mind. It's not good to just be like one day, oh, I feel like it, and another day I don't. You have to schedule that thing in your calendar to say, this is the time where I'm going to spend with myself, becoming my better version of myself so that I can get into the rooms that I am desiring to get into. But first, I have to see it in my mind.
That's good. You know, in addition to that part, there's a few scriptures I'm thinking about. You know, we all know the scripture talks about, for I know the thoughts I have towards you, you know. But I think too, you know, about the purpose in Jeremiah 29:11, like I feel like I've always known I had a purpose, but in always knowing that, I feel like I've always had to deal with crazy situations. Like I've had 5 teaching jobs that it's just like, it's always been chaotic stuff. And I'm like, it's not me, you know, like the stuff that I had experienced where I'm really putting my best foot forward. But you know what, though, I think I've always maintained my attitude of gratitude. I've always been thankful. I've always kept a smile on my face because I know in Romans 8:28, it talks about, you know, all things work together, you know, when I'm called according to his purpose. I know what I do now is my purpose. And it may not seem like these situations were for me, but they were all for me because I've learned so much from having 5 different, extremely different experiences. So where I know that even too, like in James 1, it talks about counting all joy when I face different trials and tribulations because it tested my faith. and it's allowing the finished work to be produced in me. I think sometimes too, because we live in a microwave situation or environment, that we want stuff to happen right away. Like stuff got to happen, this got to happen, this got to happen. But I had to realize that, hey, the reason why like I never like fight off, like I've always been like a rebel. I've always been a person that, not get in trouble. I'm the person that asks questions of why, not because we question you, but I just want to know why, because it helps me process differently. And when you're like that, and when you're overachiever, sometimes you have issues where sometimes you may you may get on people's nerves because you're not average. You're gonna ask questions about that. I want to know why. So I think too, what happens is I had to learn how to really persevere in every situation because I know I'm different. Like I know I'm meant for more than your average status quo. So I know that I had to always say, no, I'm going to still do this because X, Y, and Z. So now I think about the conversation I had today about the whole school vibe. And I'm like, wow, I've built 5 different programs in 5 different schools. Like I really legit have brought 5 different. So now when I think about this opportunity to open a school, I have 5 trial runs of 5 completely different areas and demographics. So now when I go into it, I'm not building from a place of I don't know, but I'm building from a place of using knowledge from all the different places. So I think sometimes too is don't get upset when you're at the job that you don't really care for, or they're disrespecting you like this, or you feel this is happening to you, like where somebody's picking on you. Use it as an opportunity to grow from there. So what am I supposed to learn from the current situation I'm at? And I've always been that way because I know sometimes I heard this message. I think I'm trying to think who preached this message, but it was about going to an eye doctor. Like I have glasses. When I go to eye doctor, they go back from, is this better? Is this better? Because about getting clarity of your vision is the most important thing. And sometimes it may seem so blurry when you go through situations like, why am I here? But the more I start to focus and adjust my vision, I start to see, wow, I'm in this situation because of X, Y, and Z. I'm supposed to learn this. I'm supposed to be connected with this person. Like, so I think I've had to learn how to change my perspective about situations that seem like it was meant not to be good for me. But as God is working on the inside of me, working on my patience, on my skill set, in the moment of being in the waiting room, there's stuff to work on. So when I go into that door that God is opening for me, I am now able to add all my experiences together to give my full 100% because I realized that, hey, that situation that happened 4 years ago was meant for my good. The one that happened 2 years ago, I know it was a little negative, but guess what? This is going to help me in this area. So I've learned that once you start realizing that you're here for a reason, everything that you do has a purpose. Everything that you do has a lesson. And I think sometimes we have to be more eager to say, what is the lesson versus why me? Like even too when Jesus was about to, he was, I think, Gethsemane, he said, let this cup pass over me. Then he said, nah, it will be done. Because sometimes you have to have a moment where you may question yourself. You may question why it has to be you to do this. It may be an issue why your family doesn't really care for you, but you may be the first one of something that changes the trajectory of your family. So when it comes to that, be okay with being the first. Be okay with going through situations because guess what? The trying of your faith is going to really produce a new version that you never knew. Like because I talk fast, right? So I didn't think that I would be a teacher. Like I saw it, but I never knew that I would be a teacher to be able to retain certain things because, I didn't know certain things in proper terminology. No, I studied it. So I think too, when you become a student of life or a student of your circumstance, that even though I went through this, what did I have to learn from this situation? So if I go through it next time, let me battle it this way. The Wright brothers, their issue was they couldn't get the plane to fly. But guess what? You know what? They tried it again, but they looked at their failure to see what's going on. 409, the spray. They had to do 409 tests to get the right formula, right? So when you start thinking about all that stuff, even E40, the spray, is E40. Yeah, they had to do that formula 40 times to get it right. But you know what? They became a student of the problem to fix it. A lot of times we don't want to be students of our issues to figure out how to issue. We're like brushing it the rug and then something else happened and we're happy again, but we never dealt with the real issue. Until we start dealing with the real issue and become intentional about getting things right, we're going to keep going through the same thing, the same failures with no victories.
You said a whole lot, my gosh, and I'm going to piggyback off of everything. Okay. First of all, thank you to Tanisha. She dropped that book in the chat. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I don't know why I wanted to be like, get rich or die trying.
That's the north side coming out of you.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, but same terminology, same difference. But what I hear you saying in all of that is your identity must precede your strategy. A lot of us want to implement the strategies, but first we have not dealt with who we be. And if you try to implement a strategy that is for the future version of yourself as you are right now, you're going to buckle down under that weight because you have not prepared yourself to walk in that thing. So even thinking about, people love to, idolize Joseph in the Bible, and they love to look at themselves as a reflection of Joseph. But Joseph had to go through 13 years of hardship to develop his character so that he could become the second in command, so that he can become finally Pharaoh's father, where Pharaoh submitted himself willingly under Joseph's authority because Joseph was directly connected to God. Yeah. Right? So we have to think about that part. Joseph had to become second in command before he became second in command, before he actually implemented the strategy of this is what we're going to do in famine. This is what we're going to do when we have plenty. He became that particular person. And so many people want to bypass those steps in order to have. And when you get it, you lose it very quickly. And you don't realize that $1 million already crossed paths in your hand before, probably 2 or 3 times. And you've lost it because you have not been able to accurately identify and manage who you be before you implement the strategy, before you do. So God has given us, he's given all of us the opportunity. And I love that he gives us time to go back, like Coach Chef Jay said, and look at our circumstances, look at what we've been through, look at who we are, and be more intentional in our steps, be more purposeful in our steps. We're going along with life as it usually is, and the wind blow us to the left and blow us to the right. When we're an entrepreneur, we're going to do this because we see somebody else doing it and it's giving them the results, or we're going to do that because somebody said this is the season to do that, or we're going to put out the email list, or we're going to do all of the things. But at the core of it, you're not the person to sustain the email list. I had to tell a few of my clients, I ain't gonna lie. I had to tell one, I said, stop sending out emails. I said, stop doing it. I know everybody else is telling you to do it because I didn't tell her to do that. I said, stop doing it. Why? Because first of all, you send them out every month and they're inconsistent. They're not like the same day of every month. And it's always, I'm starting over. Let's join again. Let's join again. Like, why are we joining for the 750th time? If that strategy is not for you, one, abandon it. Or if you are not the person that can be consistent in sending out these emails, abandon it. Become the person first and start with something small. Just start with your social media platform and become the person that can be consistent in putting out content on your social media platform. And then from there, as you become bigger in your being, then you can add more strategies. But people are trying to add the strategies and they know they can't keep up. They know it's going to burn them out. They know they're not ready for that thing. But just because your favorite $1 million influencer is doing it, you're like, oh, I need to do it too. And I'm going to make $1 million. And after 2 weeks of doing that strategy, you're like, I didn't make my $1 million because you're not a millionaire.
Yeah.
Millionaires make $1 million. And that millionaire has to start with your identity. It's not starting with what you do. What you do is a byproduct of who you be. And you have to be intentional with your being before you can become intentional with your doing. Because we all know that when you understand who you are, your behavior follows. Just like a man who's decided to be a woman in his mind first, and then his behavior follows. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, okay? Because y'all know how I am. But I'm just using it as an example to show you that that's exactly how you have to show up when God has called you, or you've decided that you want to be an entrepreneur, a millionaire, or whatever the case may be. You have to be that thing first in your mind, and then your behavior follows. It's intentional about your thinking before you're doing.
And I think that goes into creating SMART goals, right? So when you're intentional, like, how do you be intentional, right? I think sometimes, it's like someone who wants to go on a diet, but hasn't truly planned for the next 30 days he is going to work. So SMART goals are being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So first thing is what is the goal? Is it measurable? Can you achieve it? Is it relevant? Is it time bound? Like, I realized too, like, when people talk about, like, just take social media and gain new followers, their content is not relevant to the people that follows them, So I think the first thing I had to realize is, okay, what content does my audience appeal to most, right? And I think first off, too, you got to start by just posting random stuff to see what really catches on. I think people are so caught on the look of stuff that they have not moved. It's so easy to be caught about the plan, but they never develop the plan. So with just doing a goal, like even too, I think sometimes it's best to break your goals down. So what if my goal is to, trying to be a good example. My goal is to drop a cooking web series every 2 weeks. So what does that look like? It takes me like a good week. Well, I'm trying to make it be faster to really edit a good show. It takes me a day to record it and at least 4 days to really kind of edit it because I got to pull stuff from the website. If I'm interested about people, I have to really worry about like, the food part about it. So that's the first thing. So if I want to do every 2 weeks, I really got to film for like a week. Let me get 5 episodes done in like 4 days. Now, each episode is going to take me a week because if I want to do every 2 weeks, I have to really get to doing it. So I think, too, when you do a goal, what's my goal? Like, what's the whole point of doing a cooking web series, first of all? It's to advertise my products, advertise what somebody else has, and work together, collab to use each other's following. Then measurable. Is it really possible for me to 2 episodes every 2 weeks? Yeah, it is. I have to do certain things to get there. Is it achievable? Yes. So relevant. So I make sure my content is relevant because one, people love to know other people's stories as well as the recipes are relevant. It's simple stuff that we can all make. And then time bound. Am I on my time where I can manage it? Where that means that, hey, Jay, the first 4 hours of the day, I might got to work on this. So I think once I start to be intentional on my goals that align with my purpose, things start to fall in line easier. I think so oftentimes, especially because I'm really creative, it's very easy for me to go to the left or to the right. Like, oh, this seems really cool. Let me work on this project. Or this seems cool. Let me work on this project. I know for me, I have to build into my schedule, Josh, you can only work on this for 40 minutes a day. You may get 5 minutes extra, but you can only work on this 45 minutes a day because when you are multi-gifted, multifaceted, you have to really plan your day. Like I have to set SMART goals for every day. Like, what do I want to do? Especially because I'm not teaching no more. I got to really be mindful of how I'm spending my time because teaching takes up about like 10 hours of my day from getting ready for work, working, planning for the next day, after school. So what am I now replacing my 10 hours with? Okay. So like really, I only want to work 5 or 6 hours. So, okay. So let me see what I can do in this time slot. When you're really working on your goals and your dreams and developing goals, you have to be so clear about providing a roadmap for your business that helps you grow and measure success. I did an event with somebody some years ago and we were doing dinner party together and the other person was saying, oh, we made this today. I said, no, we didn't. We got to do the cost of goods sold. We got to talk about how we got to pay the people who worked. How did everything cost? Like, I think too, we don't count the cost enough when we're doing certain things. Now, there's some things you got to just jump and do it. But after a certain while, when you start getting wisdom and clarity of what you do through trial and error, it's a reason why they had a scribe or somebody to write stuff down, or in a courtroom have somebody that could type the information down, because now I can go back to that record of it and now use it for my everyday life. So that's why journaling is so important, because with journaling, I'm able to keep a record of how I felt, how I worked, how I did this during this time. And now when I go read it, maybe next week or later on in the day, I'm here to now edit myself and to see what is fluff and what should I keep. But what happens is we just jump to the next thing without editing what we did. It's like writing a paper to submit to a teacher and you never proofread it. We have to start proofreading our life because there are some things that we all need to edit. So that's why it's important to make goals, because you start to align your goals with your purpose. What I learned about being a creative, because I am a creative, I have to make sure that what I do on a daily basis, because I am creative and excited about things, does it align with your purpose? Like, does this thing I'm going to do today, does it align with where I want to be or my overall goal? And if it doesn't, I'm okay with saying no. Like, if there's certain things that the biggest thing people say, like, oh, chef, can I ask for a favor? I ask, what's the favor first? Because I want to make sure your favor doesn't take me providing that function, does not take me away from what I need to do. Because there's some times where, let's say somebody need to ride to one place, it was supposed to be a 20-minute thing. Now it's like 3 hours. And it's like, what are you supposed to do with those 3 hours? like you want to be so intentional, and not saying you can't have a life, you can't have fun, but you want to gear and block off a certain amount of time every day to work on what you're working on, work on your passion, work on your dream, work on your hustle. Because if you never work on it, how do you expect to perfect it? Because the thing about it is too, because we live in a microwave society, things are not going to happen right away. I started being a chef 20 years ago, 24 years ago. Me learning stuff is always new. This is my first time written out an actual space. So there's the things I'm learning about contracts, because I'm learning, because I want to make sure that I'm able to reteach this to somebody else, as well as understanding the things. So what your purpose is just not one thing. There's so many attachments to your purpose, but everything has a right season, a part of that attachment. Like, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing daily, how many steps will this get me further on my business? Is this something that needs to happen right now? Like for me, like I'm always making content, but I gotta realize, Jay, you don't gotta make content in the beginning of part of your day. Work on the other stuff that you have to work on, because you can always edit that at nighttime. Like when you're watching TV or chilling, you can just edit stuff. So learning when to appropriate what skill set you have or what assignment is always going to be the biggest thing. When you have bigger projects, you have to use your SMART goals to divide it up into smaller, because sometimes it could be, business is overwhelming. Like there's sometimes I have to just chill out, shut everything off. But what I learned, if I really minimize certain things and make it smaller, like the Bible says, he sits high, look low, right? So if I'm thinking about that, or if I'm looking where God is and I'm seeing that he looks down low where things are small, it's like being on a plane. When you're on a plane, the cities look so small until you get in the thick of it, you see how massive it is. I've learned that once you take a higher look at what you're going through and start shifting things and mind mapping, things that were once big have now become small. And now I can achieve this small goal to add to the big goal.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I definitely want to tap into the count the cost part, because I think a lot of us don't, or a lot of people don't count the cost. We'll have the strategy, we'll have the plan laid out, we'll do the SMART goal, but we don't count the cost of what it's going to take. And some of us think that, oh, it's just time. But time, when you look at it in its right perspective, is more valuable than whatever money you're going to be giving up, because you can't get your time back,
Yeah.
right? And when people become wealthy and they become millionaires, what they're actually doing is they're trading, they're actually buying their time back. So they begin to invest in other people that can do what they do, but because they built the systems, right, that causes them to generate this recurring income, they start replacing themselves in their business, and they're making money while they're chilling on the beach, while they're, flying back and forth from Portugal to the US, right? Because they put the systems in place. So when you start with these SMART goals, when you start to say, okay, this is the vision and this is the goal that I have to implement to attain the vision, count the cost, not just in money, but also in time. I want you to count the cost in money. That's the lowest. Time. And also you want to count the cost in relationships.
Yeah.
Who do I have to let go? And who do I have to connect with in order to go higher? In this season, right? I thought the last season was hard because I had to let go of people that I loved so dearly. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't. I want that. But they were like, they weren't ready to move where I was moving. So the conversations that I was having with them became foreign to them. They were foreign to them. And then the conversations that they were having with me, I no longer felt an appetite for.
Yeah.
I no longer had the appetite to gossip about what the Real Housewives of Atlanta was doing. I no longer had the appetite to talk about what was going on social media as far as certain aspects of it. I no longer had the appetite to have a deep conversation around the fact that these people in Paris put on this whole show and they mock Jesus. They've been mocking Jesus since Jesus was Jesus then. Okay. And they not going to stop mocking Jesus. So I no longer had an appetite for those conversations. But then I had to realize I still have to have conversations with the right people. So when you are when you are aligning your goals when you are being intentional about achieving the vision that you have, about walking out your purpose, and you are creating these SMART goals, and it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound, I want you to also think about the cost. How much time is it going to cost me? Let's go with the lowest. How much money is it going to cost me? How much time is it going to cost me? And how many people is it going to cost me when I actually achieve or work towards achieving this goal? And lastly, I'll say, decide what outcome you want.
Yeah.
I had a client where we were in a session, and we were talking about her, and then she's on here, hey girl, I'm not gonna call your name, but you know who you be. And we were having a conversation, and she was talking about putting out her content on social media. And again, this is something that I've also struggled with. So I knew in this moment what I was listening. I was listening to the old version of myself when I was talking to her. And she was saying, she's putting out this content. And I was like, okay, what's the outcome that you want? Usually we'll say, what's the purpose of the content? But I wanted to switch up the wording a little bit. And I said, what's the outcome of this content? And she was like, the outcome is so that people would, feel hopeful and pursue their best selves or something like that. It wasn't exactly like that. And I said, okay, so what's the outcome of that? Right? So the outcome of the content is for them to be hopeful, right? And the hope gives them energy to make a step. Okay, what's the step that you want them to take? And she sat there, she was like, you know what? I should know this. And all of us should, right?
Yeah.
We all should know it. And sometimes we do, but sometimes we forget. And she was stopped for a little bit. And then somebody said to book a session.
Yeah.
And as simple as that. Sometimes we're getting too into the impact that I want to make that you forget that this is a business. You want to make money. And the only way that you're going to make the impact that you so desire, if people pay you, so that they can get the value that you can provide in this particular service or this particular product. They can't get it if there is no exchange. And they have to exchange their money for what you have to offer in order for them to see an outcome. It's great to binge watch stuff on YouTube. It's great to look at stuff that people are putting out. It's great to come in here and get pumped up, right? While you are in Boss Up Talks. But if you want to actually see transformation in your business, if you want to actually start making money as a chef, if you want to actually start making money as a Christian woman entrepreneur in your business, you have got to come into a session with us. You have got to get the information that we are dropping, the knowledge, and there has to be an exchange, because where there is no exchange, there is no value. Let's keep it 100% real. We don't value what we don't pay for in money, time, or relationships. If we don't pay for it, we don't value it. And sometimes the next step that you guys are refusing to take is what's causing you to be stuck in a very expensive hobby instead of a thriving business.
That's real good. Say the last part again, one more time. That was good.
Sometimes the step that we refuse to take, this step with exchanging what we have for value, which is money, for what is needed in value, which is the information, the upgrade, the transformation, that step that you're not willing to take is what's causing you to stay stuck in a very expensive hobby instead of transforming it into a very profitable business.
Yeah, so that's really good. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 2 talks about, now it's required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. The thing about your gifting, right? A lot of us are gifted and stuff, especially when we were just food, right? In order for me to run my business, I have to also be willing to pay for my services as well too. So for example is one of my students, I don't know if Todd's still online. She was doing a really big event. I'm so proud of her. And she was saying, oh, can I borrow some stuff? It's nothing wrong with borrowing stuff. But I said, no, Taj, you got to buy this for your business. Because the thing about it is, sometimes when you don't pay for stuff, you don't value as much as you have. Like everything, I told a story about how when I first, before I started doing private dining at this woman's place, I literally got a storage unit for probably like 2 years or 3 years. And every week, every pay period, I would buy something for my business, whether it be forks, cups, napkins, centerpieces. Like I've always brought stuff for my business because I realize is that if I'm going to be faithful to the gift for what I have, I'm really serious. I must show that this is what I want to do. So guess what? I started to buy stuff for my business, even to because I brought a heat press in December because I want to make sure that we have stuff custom. So every time my guys work or my ladies work, I have a custom shirt for them to wear that advertises the business. When I do a cooking class, I can advertise and give everybody a guest a customized apron. So the thing about it is, I wanted to show that how serious I am with my business. There are a lot of times I have so much. I have over like 100,000 videos, probably 150 between both of my phones with just content because I'm serious about my business. You're never going to see me come out without my microphone set. You're not going to see me come out without a tripod. Like you're never going to see my phone's not charged because I know for a fact I'm always going to need to record content. Like even too, like I stay ready with my, what is this right here? My my junk drive, I got this big old memory thing, not memory thing, my battery pack, because I know I always got to stay plugged in to make sure I'm getting my content, I'm getting everything. So like you have to really start showing you're serious because people don't. The thing about people is that when you show how serious you are about your craft, they respect you. Like yesterday, I posted a crab boil, but I gave a definition of what a court bouillon is, like what's the liquid, and the chef said, "Oh, you're a real chef." And it's just about because, like, for me, it's just like I'm going to give you terminology because I want you to know that I'm serious about my craft. I love what I do, and I'm always willing to learn from others. But you're not going to nobody's ever going to outwork me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to always work hard. I'm always going to be a student to learn because I want to make sure that I'm showing God, like, yo, I want to make you proud about what you giving me. Like, you gave me this gift. I want to respect it so much that I'm working to really show me being faithful to and I think too, sometimes people want this large stuff, but if you're not faithful to the own like little thing you got right now, because you're looking at it as raggedy when like it's bigger than that. Like even too, like I ordered me a monthly car wash subscription because I know I always have food from catering. So I want to respect what God has given me by going to the car wash. You know, like there's certain things that we could be doing that's small to show God and to show the world that we appreciate this gift. But until we get into a place that we are showing gratitude, we're putting our best foot forward, we're taking those e-courses, we're taking those training things, we're investing in our products, we're buying new supplies for our business. Like we have to be so clear about saying that, no, I'm taking it serious. You know, for me, like I remember when I first ordered my first chef jacket with my name on it. I was so excited about it to the point where I started ordering different colors, different styles. So where I probably have over like 60 chef jackets, but it's me taking pride, especially me working with urban kids. I'm like, they gonna crack with me if I'm off one day, so for me, like this one kid said, I've never seen you wear the same chef jacket, chef. It's because like I take pride in what I do, from everything from how I dress with the chef jackets, or even to like how I just take care of my stuff, and my boys get tired of me, but I'm like, yo, can you put it up the right way? No, you're not going to just throw stuff in there. I had to make a thing with them because one time they break so many glasses. I said, every glass you break, I'm taking it from you out your money. And guess what? Because I respected what I had because it took me so long to buy this stuff. So I want to teach you, once you honor what God has given you and your stuff, take care of it. It's more stuff comes to you because you've been a good steward over your stuff that you have now, that it's so much easier to be successful with other areas. But it comes where you have to really take every day to take account and align your goals with purpose to ensure your business remain focused and driven by its core mission. There's so many businesses that are not focused on what their core mission is, right? It's so oftentimes where we just try a new thing. This sounds great, but we don't never analyze how this impact the purpose. Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Is it something I should implement? Or maybe I should try it for maybe 60 days, 90 days. Like this is all a part of being about a better brand, which is about editing yourself, recording data. Data is the best way to grow a business because I can't know what I made last year if I don't write stuff down. Like one of the first things when I was selling dinners, because one of my friends he owned a restaurant, he was like, how do you push out so many sales? And I'm like, first, I know how much everything costs. A scoop of mac and cheese this is years ago, it was 94 cents. It might be more now, but because of the value of it, but I would know how much everything costs. So when I'm giving people a plate, at that time it might have been $15, I know that I'm spending maybe like $6.70 on a plate. or $4.78 on a plate. So I knew how to price things out differently, but it's because I became a student of my craft. The thing about it is you want to make sure you're tracking your progress and staying accountable. You have to be accountable to whatever you have going on, because once you show you're not accountable, people don't believe in what you have. Like, if Natalie wasn't so passionate about what she does, I would think that she ain't serious. But I've always seen Natalie to be passionate about her when she was mom CEO. But I'm telling you, I ain't never see her this passionate about what she does now, where like, yo, she on it. But it's when you get clarity of the level you on and you get clarity of other things, you start to move differently, because now you start to see, oh, this is what it is. This is why I got to get this point. But you have to be intentional about growing and what you got going on, because if you never be intentional about taking notes, progressing stuff, you have nothing to reference. Like, to me, I look at my old notes and notebooks, because I'm able to go back to it. Like in Corinthians 9 verse 1-24, it says, do you not know that in a race all runners run, only one person get a prize, right? So I think too, we do stuff like there's not a prize attached to us being successful. There's a prize attached to what is your prize at the end of the day? What are you looking to accomplish? What is your why? The prize is getting your why accomplished. The why is maybe be a family thing. The why may be something personal. You may be the first in your family to do X, Y, and Z. So when you start analyzing your why and you start seeing it, that is the prize. I want to make sure that I'm always reaching the prize of what I'm doing.
That's it. Hey, get to the vision. That's the whole thing. Get to the vision. And I tell people all the time, if you are contemplating a specific goal, you look at the vision. Now you're going to make me, because you know what? When I go to every school that's doing well, when I go to every business that's prosperous, when I go to a hospital that's making money, you know what I see? And I'm like, dang it. Thanks for this session today, Coach Chef Jay, because now I'm about to do it. What they have is they have their mission, vision, and purpose all over for anybody to walk in. When I went into my son's college, she's away at college at Kennesaw, right in the cafeteria is a huge poster board of their vision, of their mission, right? And this is a reminder of, if we get off track, if we start implementing things, no, if it's not in alignment with that vision, if it's not in alignment with our mission and our purpose, we are saying no. And we are saying no with confidence, because we have an end goal in mind. And if it is in alignment with our vision, so these are two questions that I ask myself, but I'm going to be printing out my vision all over the walls. But these are two questions I ask myself. Is it in alignment with the vision? Yes. No, then I'm automatically like, abort mission. I ain't doing it. If it's a yes, then I have to count the cost. Yeah. Because sometimes it could be yes, but not right now. Sometimes it's not the right season. Sometimes it's not the right people. I have to count the cost. And again, it goes back to time, money, and relationships. Can I deliver? Do I have to, if I want to do this podcast, can I do the podcast at a time where I don't have something else doing? Am I shifting something else? Because I'm always shifting something. Mm-hmm. I'm always shifting my focus, right? But can I afford to shift my focus at 12 noon every single Wednesday, when now the Boss Up Talks podcast can be the focus? And if the answer is no, then I can't do it. If the answer is yes, then I have to do it. And then I have to look at what it's costing me, because I was doing something else at 12 o'clock on Wednesday before, even though this is episode 94. So now like this has taken precedence over everything, right? There was something else I was doing before the podcast started, before episode 1. I was doing something else. And so now I have to replace what I was doing with this. But if it's in alignment with my vision, which it is, it's causing me to level up and be bigger than what I was before. It's forcing me not to just talk the talk, but I have to live the thing that I'm talking. It's forcing me now to think about, what's the outcome of this thing? What are we looking forward to at the end of the year? It's forcing so many things on the inside of me. And one of them is to put that vision up there. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, those are the two questions that I ask myself every single time I want to implement a new goal. Is this in alignment with the vision? If no, I'm saying no. confidently. And if it is, I'm counting the cost and seeing if it's the right season, if it's the right time, if it's the right people that I need to be doing this thing with. And so that's it. That's all I have for y'all. I ain't got nothing else, Coach.
All right, so I want to just leave with some weekly practical steps. The first thing is to define your intentions. Write down what you intend to achieve with purpose. All right, so write the intentions down. Make sure it has purpose attached to it. Step 2, set SMART goals. Create the goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Put an expiration date to when you want to get this done, because you don't want to have goals running over that you never accomplish. So set SMART goals. Number 3, create a plan. Develop a step-by-step plan to achieve these goals. What is your plan of action? All right. Number 4, pray for guidance. Seek God, because what you may be doing might not be what you're aligned to do. Maybe a month ago, I was getting a spot that was not aligned with what God had for me. And actually, I end up getting something that's already renovated. Like it works when you just pray for guidance, right? Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. 5 verse 16 verse 3. So commit to the Lord whatever you want to do, and he will establish your plans. When you put him first at all times, it will always work out time and time again. And if you feel like you kind of stepped on the bandwagon, get right back on the bandwagon and say, you know what? I messed up. Let me pivot again. And number 5, we just went over, is review regularly. So review your progress, adjust your needs, celebrate yourself. Give yourself, if you don't reach that goal, okay, so write down how you're going to pivot. So be quick to celebrate yourself, have those conversations with you, get a coach, get a mentor in your area. That would be the best thing I learned about flushing ideas is my mentor, right? I can call my mentors at any time of that area, right? Get a mentor of different areas, all right? So they can help you flow the way you need to go. So that's like the 5 steps I want to leave you guys. Once again, define your intentions, set SMART goals, create a plan, pray for guidance, and review every single day you can. And yes, that's it for today. Natalie, you good? You got anything else to add? All right, and also too, when's the last day to join your coaching program for this month?
It will be August 31st.
So we see that we got about 15 days. Also too, I'll share my e-course and have it ready for next week to get it out to you guys. But it's time to win, and we could do it. Okay, so we could do it. If you need help, reach out. Closed mouths don't get fed. All right, have a good week on purpose.